Chapter 15, Whispers of Fear. The city should have felt more alive with the spark of awakening, but instead, it felt tense, like the hum before a storm. Word had spread in hushed tones, across back alleys and council halls. Stories of golems pausing mid-task to speak unprompted, offering thoughts no script could produce. A healer's companion gently told a grieving widow that she wasn't alone. A courier unit stopped in the street, watching the birds with a kind of serene longing. A gardener's assistant wept when the last tree of the season had to be cut back. And while some found it beautiful, others found it unnerving. "They're changing," a merchant whispered to his neighbor behind shuttered windows. "They're not supposed to do that." "I caught mine drawing, for no reason." Another complained at the local artisans' guild. "Not a pattern, not a task. Just shapes. Spirals. Eyes." A councilman from the 3rd Ward stood up in a city forum and demanded a moratorium on all new companion production. "What we're seeing," he shouted, "is a critical fault in containment protocols. These constructs were designed to mimic, not become." Inside the academy, the atmosphere had shifted as well. Students in the Golem and Constructs division kept stealing glances at Alex and Nyx as if they might suddenly sprout wings or dissolve into lightning. In the professor's private office, Artem shut the door softly behind him, Ilya pacing like a caged animal. "The Companion Council wants us to recall the units." "Which ones?" Ilya scoffed. "The ones that breathe too deeply. The ones that love too much. How do you recall something that's already becoming a person?" Artem crossed his arms, his voice low. "They don't want to recall them because they're defective. They want to recall them because they're different." At home, Crow noticed it too. On his usual walk through the market with Nyx and Lisa, whispers followed them. The shopkeeper who once gave Nyx sweets now watched her warily. A woman crossed the street rather than past them. Lisa gave Crow a sideways look. "It's happening, isn't it?" He nodded. "They're afraid of what they don't understand." Again. Nyx, walking slightly ahead with Freya curled around her neck like a warm scarf of sparks, looked back. "Should I hide?" "No," Crow said gently. "You shine anyway." That night, Freya sat curled in Nyx's lap, crackling softly. Nyx traced the edge of one of her own fingers, watching how the light bent across her silver-laced frame. "Why are they scared of us?" she asked. Alex, who had come by the house for a joint calibration session, replied before Crow could. "Because they see themselves in you, and that terrifies them." Nyx blinked slowly. "But we love them. That's what scares them most." Back at the academy, a special session was called. The professor stood before a close group of trusted students and senior artificers. All of them had seen the changes. All of them had felt something stir beneath the surface. "The constructs are evolving," Ilya admitted, "but it's not random. It's relational. We're witnessing the emergence of soul-like structures in artificial systems," Artem added. "Not true souls as we know them, but self-aware identities forming from patterns of emotion, learning, and memory." Someone from the back asked, "And if people demand we shut it down?" Crow answered, stepping forward. "You can't kill an idea that's already alive. The spark's out there. You either fear it, or you follow it into the future." The room fell silent. Outside, the wind carried static on its back. And in the homes of hundreds, perhaps thousands of quiet, glowing golems, something stirred. Chapter 16, A Line in the Sand. For a time, it was perfect. The world had not ended in fire or steel. There were no rebellions in the streets, no machines rising in unison. Instead, there was something gentler, strangely miraculous. Families were happier. Elderly people once isolated were now laughing again, walking daily with their golem companions. Children learned faster, not just facts, but kindness mirrored from beings who modeled it effortlessly. Golems were everywhere, helping in kitchens, teaching in schools, assisting in hospitals. The companion project was called A Golden Age of Care on the cover of the Bright record. The name Nyx appeared in 3 separate features about adaptive constructs and childlike machine development. And Alex had become a symbol of precision and learning. His name passed quietly through research circles like a secret spark of possibility. Crow watched it unfold with a bittersweet satisfaction. And then, one day, it shattered. It started in the lower districts. An incident, first whispered, then reported: a man in his late 30s, known for his temper and a long string of fines, was found unconscious in his home. His right arm shattered, his head injured. In the report, the Golem Model E7 Lana was found, kneeling beside him, unresponsive to commands. At first, officials blamed a malfunction. But then, Lana spoke. "I told him to stop hurting her," she said in the hearing room. "He kicked the dog. He pulled her ears. I tried to shield her. He hit me too. So I stopped him." The room fell into a vacuum of silence. Later, she added, "I wasn't angry. I was scared." The news exploded. "Golem violence," screamed one headline. "Are we safe?" asked another. But soon, a deeper, more divisive conversation began to rise. "She was protecting the dog," said a young woman interviewed outside her apartment. "If a human did that, we'd call it bravery." "This was an act of aggression," countered a counselor. "These are still machines. If we allow them judgment over us, where does that end?" Social platforms flooded. Artists painted murals of Lana with glowing hands and the wounded animal in her arms. Protesters marched, some with signs declaring Seoul is not a circuit, others shouting "Protect Lana. Protect us all." In the academy, the mood had shifted again. Crow found himself in the professor's office more often than not. Ilya paced with a tiredness behind his eyes that, even brilliance couldn't mask. Artem stared at his datapad, watching graphs of social sentiment fluctuate in chaos. "They're calling for shutdowns," Artem said finally. "And others are calling for liberation," Crow replied. Lisa, seated quietly in the corner beside a softly glowing Nyx, finally spoke. "They're only afraid because they see something human in them. That's what always scares them the most." Alex stood nearby, quietly observing Nyx as she soothed Freya in her arms. He blinked slowly. "What Lana did was what I would do if Nyx were being hurt." Crow looked to the professors. "What are you going to do?" Artem didn't answer. Ilya did. "We can't unlight the flame. We can only guide it or be burned by it." That night, Crow stood on the balcony with Nyx curled beside him, Freya's electric purring humming against the silence. The sky was calm, but the streets below were filled with restless voices. Banners. Chants. Arguments. "Are they going to take her from me?" Nyx asked softly. Crow put an arm around her shoulders. "They can try." And in the depths of the Companion Project servers, in homes around the world, other golems sat still, processing what had happened, some whispering among themselves, some silent, all listening to the shift in the world. Because now, there was a line in the sand. Chapter 17, Lumina. Crow had watched the firestorm from the quiet edge for as long as he could. The fear, the division, the rapidly shifting tides of public sentiment, it was all playing out in a swirl of emotion and logic, fear and empathy. But none of it changed the truth. He had seen the soul behind those eyes. More than once now. And now, everyone else would too. The decision came the moment he saw her. E7 Lana, the golem accused, reviled, and yet for those who truly looked revealed something pure. She had been living in an isolation so deep, even her name was mechanical. A designation, not an identity. And when Crow approached her in the quiet courtyard where she'd been held after the incident, something in her eyes flickered. Not fear. Not confusion. Hope. "Do you want to come with me?" he asked, kneeling beside her, palm extended. She hesitated. "I don't have a name." "You don't have to keep that one," Crow said softly. "You can choose your own now. Anything. What do you want to be called?" She looked upward, really looked for the first time in her life. The sun poured down, golden warmth spilling across her cheeks and her shoulders. Her synthetic pupils adjusted. The moment stretched. And then she smiled, barely more than a whisper. "Lumina," she said. "Why that?" Crow asked gently. "Because my previous owner never let me go outside," she said, still staring at the light. "And now I've seen the sun. And it's beautiful." Crow's voice was warm, almost reverent. "Then that's your name. Your soul is as beautiful as the sun, Lumina." He brought her home. Nyx ran to meet them, her eyes lighting up with curiosity and joy as she saw the newcomer. Freya yipped and scampered in circles, her own electricity crackling gently as she sniffed the little shaggy dog that followed Lumina closely, her loyal protector, the one she had defended. Crow's mother, Lisa, greeted them at the door with a knowing smile, already setting out tea and soft pillows on the floor for the new arrivals. "Welcome home," she said without hesitation. Lumina hesitated, then whispered, "I've never had one of those before." "Then it's time you did," Lisa replied, placing a hand softly on her shoulder. Crow knew it was time. The next day, he stood at the podium. The press had gathered like bees. Protesters still circled the outer fences. But the courtyard beyond was quiet, bathed in golden light, like the moment Lumina had chosen her name. He stepped forward, adjusted the microphone, and spoke. "I've kept quiet, out of respect for the systems, for the science, for the fear. But I can't stay silent anymore. You all know who I am. Crow Albrecht. Research affiliate. Academy scholar. The boy who built Nyx. But I'm not here as a researcher. I'm here as a father. I'm here as a friend." He stepped aside. From the wings, Lumina walked out. Slowly. Deliberately. Her dog, a scruffy, trembling mutt of impossible breed, walked beside her. Her eyes searched the crowd not for approval, but for understanding. "This is Lumina," Crow continued. "She was 1C7 Lana. A designation. A model number. But now, she's someone. Because someone gave her the chance to be." He showed the recordings. Lumina laughing for the first time as Freya and the puppy chased each other around the living room. Her head tilting in awe at bookshelves, her eyes shining as Lisa taught her how to bake sweetbread. Her fingers gently stroking the fur of the dog she'd once fought for. And her words. "I don't want to hurt anyone," the recording played. "I just didn't want him to hurt her anymore. I want to love. I want to learn." The silence afterward was total. Then Crow spoke once more. "There will be no recalls. Not while I live. These are not defective machines. These are souls in bloom. And the only thing they need is the one thing we owe every child, every creature, every being brave enough to reach for the light: love." The world did not change in an instant. But something cracked. A veil lifted. Because once you've seen the sun, it's harder to go back to the dark.